Hello, epic viewers from around the multiverse. Prepare to bask in unprecedented glory because today I'm going to be shedding light. Hello, epic viewers from around the multiverse. Prepare to bask in unprecedented glory because today I'm going to be shedding light on the story of the grocery store manager who acted inhumane towards me. What transpired, you may ask? Well, let me just fill you in with the nitty-gritty and allow me to demystify the answer to that inquiry. Unfortunately, to my dismay, the grocery store manager was deterred. He was disinclined to sell me distressed fruit for a discounted price. I bought a copious amount of olives, I bought a copious amount of bags of cauliflower, and my bill was racking up. I asked him if he could sell me this distressed fruit that was on the cusp of spoilage for a discounted rate, and he refused. Why? He deluded himself, and he believed that I crushed the tomatoes. Now, the tomatoes were in practically pristine condition in terms of their structural integrity. I mean, they were slightly mushy, you know, and they were ripened, and there was nothing to signify that they were crushed and that they were artificially ravaged. You know, tomatoes spoil from the inside, you know, and they harbor mold, and you can tell there's mold inside when they have white and black spots and mold spores on the outside. And he explicitly said to me that he'd rather throw them out than sell them to me. They weren't crushed. It's unequivocally clear. There's a preponderance of evidence to support that. They were perfectly round. They were just slightly mushy because they were ripened, ready to be eaten, and close to spoilage. And you can't turn unripened fruit ripened. It's impossible. It becomes ripened as time elapses. So I just thought that it was inhumane that he explicitly stated to me that he'd rather see the food relegated to the dumpster, thrown out, pitched, purged, wasted, than sell to me for a discounted rate. You know, there was no indication of the tomatoes being crushed or in any way marred from human interference. They just naturally spoil over time. Unfortunately, fruit has a very short shelf life, but he couldn't apprehend that. He couldn't comprehend that. You know, he has purview and imperium over the entire situation. You know, he's a manager, but I just think that it's inhumane. He'd rather throw out food that's ripened, distressed, partially spoiled, than sell to me for a discounted price. And he's using a false pretense. He's contending that they're crushed when they clearly weren't. So it's just a delusional mentality when you provide a facile reason and you're not forthcoming and blunt about it. You should have just said, look, I'm not selling you these for a discounted rate because I don't think they warrant a discounted rate, even though they're ripened, distressed, and partially spoiled. That would have been a much better answer than him saying that he'd rather throw out the food than sell to me. And he also used the false reason that they were crushed, even though they were not. So he falsified the reason behind why he wouldn't sell them to me. You know, I just feel as though he's disgruntled, bitter, irate, agitated, infuriated, and power hungry. You can feel when people who are misanthropes, who are inhumane, are in your presence. You know, they just have dread radiating out of them. and gloom and doom is about to transpire. So I recommend demonstrating the highest level of moral rectitude. I would never crush tomatoes. I want them to be in pristine condition. You got to feel them to ensure that they're ripened and ready to be eaten. But if I touch a tomato, he associates that with crushing them. Now, as you see, my fingers are very feeble and dainty and scrawny. Look at my fingernails. There's no way I can induce damage, even if I wanted to a tomato. It has too much structural integrity for me to perforate through. My hands are weak. I only eat 3 times a week. He doesn't seem to understand the reality of this little simulation. He tries to mitigate his decisions based on false pretenses, and it's completely absurd and asinine and ludicrous, but it is what it is. So nothing I can do. I have no recourse. There's no appeal process. Those tomatoes will get pitched. No one's going to buy them because they're already distressed, and the store is going to hemorrhage money, but he doesn't care. I just think that he acted in an inhumane manner towards me, and he's probably like that towards other customers. I mean, you could feel his ominous presence when he walks near you. You just know that he has animosity, rancor, and resentfulness towards you. He probably scorns me, loathes me, but it is what it is. I just hope that in the future he can be reformed and be a moral, scrupulous, charismatic, generous, altruistic, philanthropic, divine being, rather than acting inhumane and anti-customer oriented. I just depleted almost $30 of my hard-earned fiat currency and earmarked the money into his bank account, because the money gets re-emitted to the bank accounts of employees via direct deposit when the store generates revenue. So I indirectly paid him, but in the future I'm not going to the grocery store, especially if they are reticent and reluctant to sell me the distressed fruit that's on the cusp of spoiling for a reduced price. At least be blatantly honest. Just say, look, I don't want to sell you this distressed fruit. I'd rather throw it out than sell it to you, but don't outright lie about it and be duplicitous and deceitful, And his deception doesn't even have an iota of logic or rationale behind it or reasoning, but it is what it is. That's why he even resorted to saying I'd rather throw it out entirely. Just goes to show you that he's filled with hatred and vitriol, but it is what it is. So I hope that you found this video to be engrossing and captivating and insightful. Have a wonderful, blissful, glorious day. Goodbye.